So the other day on the channel, I was talking about Venom and how I imagine that they're going to end up making 1,000,001 Spider-Man villain movies over there at Sony. And then I started thinking about the fact that it just got announced that there are 6 Fox X-Men movies coming out between 2019 and 2020. That's 3 X-Men movies a year for 2 years. Now, that doesn't even include whatever movies we get from DC, whatever movies we get from Marvel, and whatever movies we get from Sony. So we're talking about like literally maybe 1 superhero movie for every month of the year, potentially. That is just ridiculous. Look, I've been reading comics for a few years now, probably like five or so years at this point, and I really like comics. I really like going and seeing those characters come to life on the big screen. But at the same time, they're going to reach a point where this bubble is going to burst. Like, this can't just keep going for forever. At a certain point, these movies are going to stop selling. And I feel like that point is rapidly approaching. I mean, you have to understand that there's been different like motifs and different sort of like genres that really take hold of Hollywood over the years. Like there's, noir films, there's fucking westerns. There's tons of different movie genres that have taken over in a very similar way to like the cinematic universe that has come from Marvel and DC and stuff like that. So now that all these movies and these studios are really getting into it, now we're talking about literally having like a dozen superhero movies in 1 year. Most people don't go see a dozen movies in 1 year. So we can just take that into account and think about the fact that like we're going to reach this point where there's going to be too many of these movies. Like they're going to start either being bad, or even if they're not bad, people are going to get fatigued. And quite frankly, even at this point, I'm beginning to get fatigued. Like when a new superhero movie comes out, I don't even realize that it's coming out until like 3 days beforehand when I start seeing the reviews. And I pay attention to movies. So imagine what like the actual normal consumer is thinking, you know what I mean? Like imagine how bombarded they must feel when every other week they're hearing about Justice League, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man Homecoming, Venom. Like every single week you have to hear about these movies. At a certain point, I feel like they're going to get bored. Now, what point is that going to be? For me, I think after we get past the Avengers Infinity War, I think that might be around the close of this 20-year epoch where every year we've had dozens, or not dozens, but tons of fucking superhero movies. I think that point is rapidly approaching where, after Infinity War, some of those people will have been playing those characters for like close to 10 years and stuff like that. A lot of them are probably going to want to get out of their contracts. So then Marvel's going to have a predicament. Are they going to want to recast these characters, restart the universe, or just like keep going with new legacy versions of those characters? Like instead of Captain Marvel, maybe we'll get Miss Marvel. I guess that wouldn't be a thing because we're just going to get Captain Marvel around that point. But you see what I'm saying? Like maybe, some other character takes over for Captain America. Maybe we get somebody else to take over for Iron Man. Like, I don't know, they put in Riri Williams or something like that. I don't know what they're going to do, but I feel like very shortly, we're just not going to be seeing superhero movies anymore. And quite frankly, I am not that opposed to it because at the end of the day, there's always going to be like a couple superhero movies because there's still Western movies that come out like every year, like 1 or 2 maybe. Like there was a movie a couple years ago called Slow West I actually really liked. Like there's Bone Tomahawk. There's Western movies that come out. So it's not like these genres just completely die. But I do think that we have gotten to a point where there are just too many of these movies. And quite frankly, I think that to a degree, if these movies stop coming out so frequently, people are going to be like, oh man, I really kind of miss Iron Man. I really kind of miss Batman and this guy and the other guy. And they're going to go to the comic book store and they're going to start reading comic books. And that might be a pretty cool thing because you have to understand that comic books in the 40s and shit, back when people like in the 30s and like in the Great Depression, people used to buy comic books like a lot. And that 10 cents meant a lot more to them than the $3 means to us today. So why aren't people buying comics? Like Batman and shit back in the day used to sell millions of copies. So why is Batman today only selling 100,000? People still go see the movies. Why aren't people going and buying these comic books? Is it because they're bad? Not necessarily, I don't think so. I think it's probably because they get like their most of their enjoyment from seeing these characters and shit on the big screen. But I do think they love these characters and they want to see them, even if it's not on the big screen. So if these movies go away, I think we might see a rise in comic book sales. Now that could be like inverse, like that might actually be the opposite of what happens, and comic book sales go even further down. But I would wager that that's actually not going to be the case, and instead we're going to see a rise in comic book sales. And I think that'd be really cool because I like comic books and I'd like for them to do well. And I like movies too, but I get my fill of movies in other places than just, you know, going and seeing Batman and fucking Spider-Man and shit. Now, I will admit I'm really excited to go see Spider-Man Homecoming next week. Don't know that I'm going to be excited to see Spider-Man 5 Homecoming, you know. That's a lie. I am going to be excited to see that. But I don't know that I'm going to be excited to see all the other movies, is my point. 3 X-Men movies in a year. However many shitty Sony Venom movies in a year. How many fucking Marvel Cinematic Universe movies in a year. How many DC Cinematic Universe movies in a year. I just think we've had enough at this point. Or we're going to very soon. I don't know, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. That Venom video just really kind of had me thinking about this for a little bit, so I want to make a video about it. Hopefully next week there will be a comic book worth talking about, because there certainly wasn't this week. And let me know what you guys think down in the comment section, and I'll see you guys next time.